All right, hello everyone. My name is Matt Fiersel, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Digital Dream Labs. I want to thank you for sharing a little bit of your day with us for the State of Robotics webinar for April 2022. As I mentioned a little bit ago, we have a jam-packed presentation for you today, covering everything from InfiniDrive, Cosmo, Vector, Butter Robot, and a little bit more. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to introduce a couple of my co-hosts. I'm joined today by Robbie Bassard, our Chief Experience Officer here at Digital Dream Labs. Robbie, how are you?
Matt, I'm doing well. How are you?
Well. And we're also joined by Brian Gardner, our Chief Gaming Officer. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Matt, how you doing?
I'm well. All right. Before we start the presentation, I want to do a couple quick housekeeping tips. As always, all attendees are going to be in listen-only mode. We will be moderating questions throughout the presentation and ask that you use Zoom's Q&A feature to relay your questions to our team. We will be sharing a recording of this presentation on the company's YouTube channel. And at the end of the presentation, we'd ask if you would take a moment to complete a quick 5-question survey to let us know how we did. As I mentioned, we have a lot to cover today, and we're really excited to not only have members of the DDL team talking about our product updates today, but we also have a few partners joining us to talk about a number of the products and updates you see on the screen here. So we're going to be getting started with InfiniDrive, then rolling into updates for Cosmo, Vector, and a sneak peek of Cosmo Inference from our friends at 24 Watts. Then we'll finish up by looking at the updates for Butter Robot and meeting the team that'll be working with us on our newest robot, Kabu. All that before finishing with a live Q&A session. And so again, if you have any questions, please use that question and answer tab to relay your questions to our team. All right, so let's get started with InfiniDrive. So InfiniDrive is definitely one of our favorite projects. Brian and his team have been making some great progress on the new app. And Brian, what can fans of Overdrive expect from the new experience?
Hey, Matt. So we're really excited about the changes that we're making for the new InfiniDrive experience. As you can see on screen, we're revamping the gameplay. We're trying to bring out what was the best parts of Overdrive, the supercars, the colorful characters, the environments, and just elevate all of that. So new characters, but a similar vibe, a more intricate campaign, and then really expanding upon the gameplay of the individual supercars. And we're achieving all of that through extended reality. And augmented reality. We're adding controller support and/or XR headset support. We're working with Qualcomm Snapdragon Spaces and a few other headsets. We're designing it in a way that is kind of, you can play it with your phone, you can play it with whatever headset you do or don't have yet. As those come out, those will get support as well. And we think this really enhances the gameplay. It allows for more interaction, dodging things, seeing what your opponent's doing, more immediate feedback. And it also allows us to enable something we've been asked for a while about, which is a remote multiplayer mode. So playing Overdrive with your friends when you both are in different locations and you set up the same track and using XR, you can see their car, they can see your car, and you can battle. We even did a live demo play yesterday. Just of where it's at. This is kind of an internal test build. So it gives you kind of a vibe of what we're working with. Not all the animations are perfect. And, some of the assets like the room joining screen are just, internal demo-y stuff. But we're just too excited to show you what this, will look like once we have augmented reality. So, I'm playing with my friend Ben here, another DDL employee, and we're racing. I'm controlling ground shock, he's controlling skull. And as you can see, I immediately fell off and corrected, and the augmented reality still works. But he's shooting cannonballs at me. I'm trying to blast him with ground shocks, close range attacks. He got me with a harpoon there that slows me down. You can see when he hits me, I get him. You can see his health bar decreasing, and we're both playing live next to each other. He can see what I'm seeing. We're sharing this augmented reality space, and by seeing your attacks, I think it adds a lot to the gameplay. We can have more interaction. We can make the cars more unique and different, right? In this context, Ground Shock's trying to get up close and personal while Skull's trying to keep his distance. And we want to do that with all the other supercars that you have and can extend your play with. So making sure that we satisfy the fantasy of each individual car, really, elevating what made them fun in the current Overdrive experience, and expanding upon that further, and then going beyond that to add new cars.
And Brian, just so everyone is aware, what we're looking at on that screen there was what you're seeing in real life on your phone as you're playing.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ben and I both had our phones clipped to a controller. So it supports controllers that support any standard controller that you might use, Xbox, PlayStation, etc. And it allows us to kind of have a more screen real estate to see the augmented reality. That was just a live screen recording. We did some edits just to get some of the highlights to save some time for you, but just recorded it, edited it slightly, showed it to you. And we were both able to see that at the same time and engage with each other. And I wanted to show here, we had shown some images earlier of the characters and such that we were looking at, and we received some customer feedback. People wanted it to be a little bit more action-packed, a little bit more like the old Overdrive. So we tried to blend the styles together. So you can see the new player characters that we're excited to let you play with. And then also making sure there's a bigger focus on the cars, combining the styles, having these kind of stylized cartoon versions of the cars, these kind of, polygon heavy aesthetics in the background, the same colors you'd expect from a utopian fantasy that Overdrive kind of exists in, but then ramping it up for InfiniDrive.
Excellent, Brian. Yeah, I think on behalf of everyone here at the team, on the DDL team, we're really excited to see the progress and the potential for XR with this game. I mean, it's a perfect opportunity to take advantage of the technology.
Yeah, to get a little nerdy about it, one of the cool things about using the Overdrive technology now in InfiniDrive is it doesn't use camera tracking for the augmented reality. Obviously, it tracks that one fiducial that we put in the center, which we're going to produce a much higher quality one for the final release. But the cars actually can keep track of their own position. It's the same technology. And without that technology, you can't have fast-paced objects being tracked live, and if they left the screen, you'd immediately lose control. But with the technology we have, it all works without the camera tracking. So that's a huge step for the XR experience.
Well, and it also will not only be able to track those cars, but they have the opportunity to have the environment interact more fully with the gameplay.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to make sure that, currently we were just showing off the cars and their engagement, but you'll be driving through cityscapes or deserts or, back alleys or all these different environments to make sure that each race feels a lot more different. And those will add things to the track that you will have to encounter. Maybe you'll be racing through a motorcycle gang or, dodging rolling tumbleweeds or, whatever. We're going to play with whatever is the most fun thing to play with. But it just really expands on what's possible now that we have real visual feedback with the environment that the cars are experiencing.
And that's all.
Oh, please.
No, and that's only part of what we're currently working on with InfiniDrive. We also have the upgrades for the wireless charging technology. And I know Jacob is joining us now, and we'll also be joined by the team from Dynamic Manufacturing, Mike Eisenman, General Manager, and Chad Swigert, Business Development Engineer. who are going to be helping us bring that into production. And Jacob, gentlemen, welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Matthew. Appreciate it.
Sorry, missed my unmute. Yes, I'm here. Hi, everyone.
Well, I'm just hey, Chad. Okay, cool. So I'll just give a really brief background on what's going on. We have Dynamics, which is basically in our backyard of Pittsburgh. They're in a town called Freeport. And we are basically putting together a collaboration to get InfiniDrive. It's really, I think, the perfect product to have us start a initiative where we're making things locally and start making the clips first, build from there, and then slowly have one of the very first products with the race car game being made in the United States. So step by step, we're engaging with these guys, going to build the chips first, the InfiniDrive clips, the charging cases, and then from that point on, really start making the full packs, the add-ons, and the cars. So without further ado, Mike, Chad, why don't you guys give a little bit of background on your company and what you guys work on? Everyone gets tired from listening to me. I'd rather hear from your perspective and hear what you guys are up to.
Well, I'll try not to make it boring so that they get tired of listening to me too. So, what Brian was explaining as far as everything he's doing on the InfiniDrive side, that's really exciting for all of you. I'm sure you're very interested in that. But we get really excited over the fact of this technology coming to not just the United States, but here in the Pittsburgh area, right? So this is some really cool stuff because you have to have the technology behind, the app, right, to make it really respond the way that everybody wants it to and expects it to. So it's fantastic that Jacob and his team at Digital Dream Labs, chose Dynamic to work with. So, not just on, the manufacturing side, but also on the engineering side. We have a full engineering team that can help augment the talent at DDL to give really what you guys need as consumers. Really, it's your voice that's driving the direction that we are all going. But it's just really cool to be part of that. We span a lot of different markets. We're a contract manufacturer, so we get into a lot of different things from aerospace, to autonomous vehicles, to this. When you start talking about consumer electronics, then people can really relate to that. They can understand it. They can see the products that are in the media or on the shelves, and it's really cool stuff. So we couldn't be happier to be working with Digital Dream Labs. So we appreciate the opportunity, Jacob.
Thanks, guys.
And I know we're excited to bring this product into living rooms around the United States. And so Chad, Mike, really appreciate you guys taking the time to join us today and talk about InfiniDrive and the wireless charging technology for power drive. Next up, we're going to transition over and start to talk about some of our other products. And first, we'll talk about updates for Vector and Vector 2.0. Be joined by Robbie Bassard. Robbie, what's new in the world of Vector?
Hey, Matt, great question. We had quite a few changes in the world of Vector recently. So we'll go through kind of, a couple different things, but we've got Escape Pod and Oscar on the docket, as well as a few improved support items for Vector memberships overall. So let's take a look at those. So recently, the Escape Pod received an update that now supports 1.8. So the 1.8 software for the robots is, for Vector is fully supported. We've done a couple of different things to really clean up some of the back end of the Escape Pod and set the stage for opening the Escape Pod to other platforms besides the Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi is a really great resource for development and a good starting point for the Raspberry Pi. But for those who are running their own hardware or maybe want to try to incorporate different hardware like the Jetson Nano or other platforms onto the Escape Pod, this is something that we really want to enable everyone to do, and we're looking into options for that. So this development, this most recent update, cleaned up a lot of the back end to start looking at those options. We also improved performance with voice recognition, and we lowered the amount of resources required. So in terms of the Raspberry, so it's going to, the Raspberry is going to run a little bit faster. Voice recognition could be a little bit faster, more accurate. And those are some of the changes that we've made into the latest Escape Pod. We're also going to be revisiting the Escape Pod extension engine. We know a lot of people are working, looking to work with the extension engine, and there's a couple of tweaks that we need to make it a little bit more user friendly. And those are things that we're focused on here with the next the next round of Escape Pod updates. Let's take a look at Oscar. About, I'd say 2 weeks ago or so, I was able to release about 40,000 lines of code into the public repositories. I also wrote a couple of new examples for customization that are now on oscar.ddl.io. So if you go under the customization tasks, you can take a look at how to customize all the local strings that he says. So if you want Vector to say something specific when you win at blackjack, or when he loses, or during different animations, that kind of thing, you can modify all those different strings inside of him with Oscar, and I've outlined a tutorial that takes you from 0 to 100 to do that. So that's kind of a simple example, but it's, go ahead.
Sorry, Robbie, I just have to interject really quick. How many lines of code did we recently open source?
About 40,000.
Wow.
So
that's incredible.
So that's, Oscar, it's slow work, right? Like I have to manually go through quite a few different files, but I think there's about 1.5 million more lines of code to go through and drop into the public space. And then we're going to be starting to work on a lot more of the documentation, kind of fleshing out how all of this software is built at the application layer to allow developers to maybe make their own features, introduce those to the community, and go from there. So there's a lot of work to be done on there, but it is absolutely progressing. The 40,000 lines of code that we recently released are primarily inside the engines and subsystems of Vector. And so you can see a lot about how he animates or expresses different personality things, and even some items about how he calculates emotions and moods as well. So keep an eye out for that. I will, Matt, I'll probably build in some links to the YouTube description to kind of, allow folks to check that code out. And we'll, of course, keep, dropping more source code as we can get through that as well. On the Vector membership side, so we've made a change to the Vector memberships, and we're going to be distributing all available firmware and software updates to Vector units as they come out. So that means that any vectors that, even if they're not attached to memberships, are going to be moved forward to 1.8.1 and then eventually to 2.0 and further on beyond. In effect, it's going to allow for better security patching. In addition, it's going to allow for a much smoother onboarding experience. With older firmwares, there are some small issues with onboarding, so we want to make sure that all of the vectors are fully up to date, basically when they pretty much come out of the box and get connected to the app, so that onboarding experience is much smoother. So that's going to be kind of a focus going forward. And then that also means that you're no longer waiting 2 to 3 days for software updates to apply. They're going to apply immediately when you launch the app and connect to Vector. As far as other changes to Vector memberships, we're now offering lifetime access licenses on the website for the foreseeable future. They'll be available to purchase anytime, and they usually activate within about 24 hours. So those are some of the changes to the Vector memberships. We have some changes to the account. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to interject. I mean, that's great. And I think that's something that both of those changes to the Vector memberships are things that our team took into consideration, feedback from the community when we made those decisions. And I think, the hope is that better supports the needs of the community and their robots.
Absolutely. It's been it's a situation to where a lot of the user experience can be improved with, having the updates distributed immediately to the robots, as soon as they get an internet connection. So it's I think it's going to be very advantageous for most folks. especially those folks with more complicated networks or folks that are looking to effectively have a much smoother onboarding experience. And that's kind of our goal with these changes. One of my favorite projects that we've been working on recently as well is a new proprietary account management system. So previously we were using a third-party vendor to help us with managing subscriptions, managing licensing and that sort of thing. We're going to bring a lot of that in-house. And what that means for everyone in terms of our customer base is that you're now going to be able to log into a DDL portal that is going to allow you to control not only your standard memberships, but also your lifetime memberships. So previously we received some feedback that people wanted more transparency, more visibility into exactly what they purchased with not only Kickstarter, but through the website for their lifetime licensing. And so you're going to be able to change those in real time rather than contacting our customer support. You'll be able to change those as soon as you want to, or assign new licenses, unassigned licenses in case you sell a robot, those kinds of things you'll be able to do immediately right on the website live. Additionally, we'll be able to add in more features and functionality later on. Some of our goals include being able to license Escape Pod or Oscar directly off that website and immediately, rather than waiting 2 to 3 business days for the turnaround of some of those licenses. And so this platform is going to allow us a lot of flexibility to be able to bring in additional features like that and really just improve the visibility and the controllability for people to have over their own accounts. We're expecting that to launch in mid-May, and we'll be allowing Kickstarter backers will have the first crack at taking a look at the system and providing feedback to help us improve it as well.
Yeah, so not only will Kickstarter backers from the Vector Unleashed campaign have a beta access to that new account management system, but we're also giving them the opportunity to help us name this new system. Is that right, Robbie?
You're absolutely right, Matt, and thanks for reminding me. We'll be sending out some information on how you can put in your vote if you were a Kickstarter backer. You're going to help us. We'll have a couple of selections to help us name this system, and you'll be able to put in your voice into helping us name the system. And we're really looking forward to the flexibility that it brings you, and the kind of the immediate, and again, more transparency, more visibility is always a goal here with ensuring that your account is fully squared away. So you'll be able to change a lot of different aspects of that and make sure that everything is in order for you.
That's great. And before we jump over to, I think we might have a slide that shows the Vector membership levels, but I also want to remind everyone that, Robbie, you're going to be hosting a live Escape Pod training session a week from today, and that will walk someone through every step they might need to get a Raspberry Pi set up as a local server and onboard your first Vector robot to Escape Pod.
Absolutely. Yes, on May 5th, we are going to be hosting a webinar where you can go through all of the steps to creating your own Escape Pod live with me at no cost. So check this out. We're going to have a Raspberry Pi. So you'll need your own supplies, but we're going to have a Raspberry Pi. We're going to go through the entire assembly. We're going to go through flashing the SD card, onboarding your robot from absolutely 0 to 100 in terms of setting up the Escape Pod and making sure that you are ready to roll with that. And we'll also go over some neat customizations, some opportunities for, changing voice commands, that sort of thing that you can customize with the Escape Pod as well. So look out for that, and we'll be sending out invitations here shortly.
Okay, great. And then just really quickly, just share those membership levels that Robbie mentioned and the benefits of each level. And of course, the new updates is that those essential updates for security and functionality purposes will be going to all robots, regardless of their membership status. So let's transition over to Vector 2.0 and the pre-order status. So the team have been, we've been working very hard to get pre-ordered robots out to their new homes. And I think, Jacob, the light is at the end of the tunnel, and we are very close now to shipping those pre-order robots. I know I've had the opportunity to do some unboxing videos with some of the early robots that come out. But what would you like to share with customers who might have pre-ordered a Vector 2.0 robot today?
Yeah. Thanks, Matt, and thank you everybody for attending today's webinar. One thing I think we're showing here is the growth and expansion of the team, and want to thank everyone from the beginning. When we first took on this journey, you can see how far we've come and everything we've had to overcome since then. Want to thank everybody for their patience. It has not been an easy road for any of us, and the level of frustration we felt inside the team. I want to thank everybody. They've really stepped up, and we're trying to keep our life in balance and try to keep a healthy attitude, but at the same time realize that we have to buckle down and keep pushing and grinding this out until we fulfill our promises. So we don't take any of this lightly. We do some fun and neat stuff. I would say we have the roadblocks coming out. We have these trusted partners like 24 Watts, who I'm very grateful. They've been fantastic. And one thing I want to show, at least internally, is we haven't forgotten about InfiniDrive. We haven't forgotten about the other product lines that we're trying to resurrect. And in order to balance all these things, I'm expanding the team, but trying to do it as capital efficiently as possible. That's why I'm really happy Dynamic has joined us. I'm very happy 24 Watts has joined us. I'm glad we have everyone, because it takes a village, like I said from the very beginning, to bring all this back. So having said that, where are your robots? It's a question I ask every morning. Where are we and what's going on? So the QA, I would say, whenever I was showing the first robots that shipped out, when it came back, there were a number of issues of just simply not satisfied, particularly with the way the camera was sitting inside of the place that required a new tooling. So that was step one. Step two involved a lot of the firmware needed to be upgraded in a way that we didn't anticipate, because what has happened is a lot of people in this industry have gone out of business and now don't make the same product anymore. So the idea that we have to make certain we have the lined up for future manufacturing runs, all the components, that was also another challenge. We've overcome all of that. And it seems like at every turn, there was something else that was surprising us. We are now over all of those humps, and we finally have a really good groove with our Chinese manufacturer. I really feel comfortable and confident that communication, despite the shutdowns and the lockdowns and the back and forth that we've had to overcome because we can't be on the floor, we have a person in China now named Ronnie. He's been fantastic. He's been a very positive influence on the team. David Smart, who came from Mattel, has also been very helpful. So we have trusted advisors and people overseeing, including going to Hong Kong and making sure our inventory is in good shape, that we have more than enough to supply at least this year, which we are going to be sold out for sure for 2022. We've stockpiled as much as we can get our hands on, but pre-orders are on their way to finally, at long last, being done. And the majority of the reason is simply just QA. Did it reach the standards we wanted it to? Did the robots function and behave like we expected? All of those questions now have been answered and are positive. So it's going to come down to how fast can we assemble and how fast can we make sure that everything is in the QA process. So that, again, I think I've mentioned it before. We've swung 2 times and we have 2 strikes. I want to make certain there is no strike 3. So we will have a more defined date as we go forward. But the key thing is I'm now confident and comfortable with the quality of the robot, and you'll start seeing now in the next couple of weeks, unboxing videos, having some new people who have never experienced Vector before going on YouTube, and we'll see. We're excited to see what their reactions are going to be to the Vector 2.0 and all the hard work we've put into it. So that's where everything stands, and we're very excited to finally, at long last, get Vector 2.0 in your hands. Thank you for staying with us, and appreciate all the support. And yeah, I can't say thank you enough.
No, absolutely. And just to reiterate, customers who pre-order robots, you will receive tracking information once your robot ships, and Digital Dream Labs will be covering the cost of shipping and any import VAT fees for those pre-order robots. For any of the orders, we would encourage you to contact support@digitaldreamlabs.com if you need to change or modify your order in any way. And with that, I'm going to ask Robbie to come back and join me, and we'll discuss updates for Cosmo and Cosmo 2.0. So Robbie, I know we've been talking a lot about the Cosmonaut classroom coding curriculum lately that was developed in partnership with the Carnegie Science Center here in Pittsburgh, and the standard aligned lesson plan that is really going to help this robot find a new niche in the classroom. So we're really excited, I think, to really give this tool to educators, and because education is a kind of a core passion for this company, to not only have students or young learners have access to Cosmo at home, but also in the classroom, and really igniting a passion for STEM topics. So I know the team were actively working with school districts to take orders for Cosmo for the coming academic year. On other notes, Robbie begun to ship replacement cubes. I think that was something that happened after the last webinar. So
we did.
Customers are able to order replacement cubes for Cosmo 1.0 today, and those are shipping next day.
Absolutely. I got mine. They look really good, and they're really, I actually tested these when they first came in. They're really, really well and solidly constructed. I actually was very pleased with the build quality there, and I can see our little logo. I honestly think these are really good for anybody who's either lost or maybe, I've heard a couple of stories where dogs have chewed up replacement cubes. So you can always go ahead and purchase these on the website, and they're, like Matt said, they ship next day and they're easily available. So.
Yeah. And I think the other thing in this, the robot repair center is the next topic we have here, but obviously that extends to both Cosmo and Vector. But the repair center has launched in the last 3 months. And the team we have our trained technicians are repairing common issues like screen burnouts, battery replacement. They're also, cleaning treads and things like that are common to these robots. I know we're actively looking at adding additional services, things that might not be as common for Cosmo or Vector, things like replacing a lift or a speaker that might have burnt out, and also working with partners to launch satellite locations in regions so that we can support our customers in the UK, Europe, Southeast Asia, and other areas of the world, making sure that we can support not only the existing installation-based robots, but all those Cosmo and Vector 2.0s that will be going out here shortly.
Absolutely. We're usually, to kind of expand just a little bit on the repair center, we try to make that as easy a process as possible. So if you have a Cosmo that has issues with the battery, needs a little bit of a refreshment on that, we usually find that, especially after 2 or 3 years, of lithium batteries generally tend to be have a significantly shorter lifespan, and the normal Cosmo lifespan for each charge is about 45 minutes. So if you're significantly under that and you want to have the battery replaced, we can do it. Usually once the units in our repair center, we're usually turning around those units in about around 1 to 3 business days usually. And so it's a really good resource to get everything taken care of here for your robot to keep them in tip-top shape.
Yeah, and to open a repair ticket request, I would just ask that you email support@digitaldreamlabs.com, and a member of our customer experience team will be happy to document the issue with your robot and get that repair ticket started.
Absolutely.
All right, and then moving into manufacturing update for Cosmo 2.0, similar to what Jacob had just mentioned for Vector, we are continue to make progress on Cosmo 2.0. As previously stated, Cosmo and Vector, because of their unified construction, Cosmo will be slightly behind where we expect Vector to begin shipping. But the team are continuing to make progress, and we hope to be able to share additional videos of functional Cosmo 2.0s and footage from the factory here shortly. And so now I'd want to invite Joe Redfern, the Global Brand Director for 24 Watts, who's going to be talking with us about Cosmo and Friends. I'm sure many of you have seen or heard of Cosmo and Friends, the animated series that has launched. Joe, was it a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
Last Friday.
Last Friday. Oh, wow. So I know everyone here at Digital Dream Labs, we're incredibly excited about the work that Joe and her team are doing with this. And Joe, I know we've got a little sneak peek for the attendees today, but want to draw everyone's attention. We have this slide up. We do have a link to the Cosmo and Friends channel and to the Roblox experience. Joe, that had to have been a fantastic project to work on. I can't imagine working on cartoon and a Roblox game.
I have to say, Matt, it's been an amazing experience. Actually, it's one that at times I thought would be the end of me. We've moved at quite a pace. In the 11 months, it's only been 11 months since we signed the deal with Jacob and Digital Dream Labs to create a new Cosmo and Friends brand aimed at a younger audience. We want to bring everybody into the Cosmo and Friends universe. And so we created Cosmo and Friends, originally conceived as just an animated series for YouTube aimed at 5 to 8-year-old kids. But very quickly, we realized the power of Roblox and the importance of the Roblox platform in kids' lives. So not just content with trying to find writers, creating scripts, finding an animation studio to create an animated series for launch on YouTube, we made it doubly hard for ourselves and decided that we were also going to create an experience for Roblox. However, we have risen to the challenge, I feel, rather well. And so last Friday, we launched the YouTube channel. We now have 4 full episodes up there. And from now on, you will see 1 full episode drop per week on the channel on a Thursday. And in between times, we will drop a combination of compilations and clips And we've made some live action explainer videos that we think kids are going to love too. So just to give you a quick summary, Cosmo and Friends, 5-minute animated episodes, fast and funny adventures of Cosmo and his robot friends. So we have Wizmo, Kavu as evidence there. We have Vector. Don't worry, we haven't forgotten Vector. Vector does feature. And it's just crazy tech coding based fun. I set our writing team quite a challenge. We've got Emmy and BAFTA award-winning writers on this show, so it's good quality stuff. But I also set them a challenge, not only to create a fast and funny animation for kids for YouTube, but also gave them a list of about 50 coding and tech terms, everything from bug, network, to loop, to sequence, and asked them to riff off those terms in those stories, because we want to speak the language of kids that love tech, that love robotics, that love coding, that love STEM. And I hope when you go over to the YouTube channel, as I hope you will all do very soon, and watch a couple of the episodes, I hope that you will find them funny. As I mentioned, we've also made some explainers for those kids who might be actually quite curious to know what those tech terms mean in practice. So we've created some more educational focused explainers that will sit alongside that animated content on YouTube. So you can find that at Cosmo and Friends on YouTube. If you search on YouTube for Cosmo and Friends, you will find our channel. Please go and click subscribe. Then shortly thereafter, if you have a Roblox account or someone in your life who has a Roblox account, please go over and check out Cosmo and Friends on Roblox. Again, you will know, if my children are anything to go by, kids will dual screen. So they will very often be on YouTube and Roblox at the same time. So we wanted to make sure that they could also encounter Cosmo and Friends on Roblox. And so we launched last Friday our Roblox experience, which has currently 3 levels and 1 game mode currently. However, we are invested as much in the Roblox platform as we are the YouTube channel, and we're just working out our roadmap for launching new levels. We're aiming to launch a new level each month, and then in between times, smaller updates for more cosmetics so that you can mod your Cosmo and your robots in Roblox. And we are really hoping to build out that whole Cosmo and Friends world similarly on Roblox. So that's really the quick summary of what we have done over the last 11 months. We do have about a minute of a kind of a trailer here that shows you what we've been up to, and I would love to answer any questions you might have at the end.
All right, we'll take a listen.
Hi, Cosmo! Whoa! Woohoo! You better be ready!
That's great, Joe. And again, I think, we've had, I think you might have mentioned this, but we have had a couple questions come in from attendees. Just want to reiterate, Vector will make an appearance. He is in the neighborhood with Cosmo and Friends.
He certainly is, yes. The 3 core characters are Cosmo, Wizmo, and Kavu. However, Vector appears several times in the series. He's almost kind of a regular visitor, but doesn't actually live with the gang. So he comes in and out and has lots of fun. We've just been writing an episode featuring Vector today where he encounters what he thinks is the abominable snowman, which is a lot of fun. So I can't wait for you to meet Vector in the animation too.
Oh, I can't wait either. My daughter loves watching the cartoon and playing the Roblox game. So, and Joe, before you leave, we want to ask attendees, because this is really the first exposure that a lot of people are getting to Kavu. Want to ask attendees today a quick question. So there is a meaning behind the name for Kavu, and want to encourage attendees to use the Q&A feature to share what you think that means. Whoever is the first attendee to guess correctly, we will be sharing one of the new Cosmo or Vector t-shirts from the Digital Dream Labs store. And again, everyone, want to encourage you to go like and subscribe the Cosmo and Friends YouTube channel and play the Roblox experience. I have my Cosmo customized. I think I got one of the rainbow treads and hat, but it's a blast, and we're sure that everyone's going to have a lot of fun with it. Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
All right. Next on the lineup, we'll be discussing the Butter Robot and updates for production of the pre-ordered Butter Robot. For that, Brian Gardner is going to be joining us again. Brian, the Butter Robot is somehow different than Cosmo or Vector. What makes the Butter Robot unique, and why is it a project that our team is really excited about?
I mean, you're right, Matt. This is a pretty unique robot. So first, I'm going to start my video and share with you guys. I have a Butter Robot here. This is fully injected plastic. Final PCBs and everything. He's currently charging off of a USB-C. Wanted to make sure he's fully ready. But let me just unplug him, put him down, and show you how he's working. So one of the main things that we've done in this time is really revamp the motors we're using. If you're familiar with Vector and Cosmo, you may notice that his head is about the size of a Vector and Cosmo. He's significantly larger, and that requires a lot more powerful motors in order to make sure that these movements are smooth and consistent. And so we've done that. When we originally sent this to Justin Roiland about a year ago, he made it clear to us that this needed to be an incredibly high quality product, that our initial estimate for something a little bit more budget wasn't quite right. So we've completely revamped the motors. We've completely revamped the speaker. I'm going to try and make him talk. Unfortunately, I'm recording through a headset mic, so it may not come through. But it's worth a shot, right? You guys deserve live demos. So let's see if you can hear him. You may notice that also, if you could hear it, I'm sorry if you can't. We'll record a better video after this with proper mic, not this. He talks slower than he does in the show, but it's the same voice engine. The reason for that is on the show, he only says really small snippets of dialogue. We wanted to make sure that when he's saying new things that you don't know, you can understand him on the first try. But I have full control over the speed of his speech, so I can make him say that incredibly fast if I need. If I get used to his voice, because I've heard him talk a lot, I understand him better. So he can say it just like in the show. He can say anything like that. He can also generate dialogue fully through the Garbage Brain app that we've developed. Instead of making him say it, I'm just going to generate and read what he says. So if I ask him if he was happy, he will say, when I wake up in the morning, my mind is as clear as a bell. Life is for living, not living for life. And every time he speaks, he's going to say something completely unique and different based on his mood. Normally, you can't make him say things like I can on my demo app. He'll just say things as he feels things, as he's expressing himself. He drives very smoothly. Just live demo-y stuff. And then he also, you guys can see what I'm seeing, in that he has his camera is working, and if I move it around, you can see that it's incredibly smooth, incredibly quick. It allows for an autonomous experience where you can drive around, see what he's seeing, and then it also can do face detection. Let me make him see me. I don't know why I turned him. He can move himself. So let me make him point at me, and you can see that he can recognize me when I look at him. So he can get to know you, similar to our Vectors and Cosmos, but obviously it's a very different way of responding in the style of the Rick and Morty show. And as far as next steps, what do we need to do to make sure we get this to you? So this guy is going to go through just a little bit more testing and verification on our end, a little bit more software updating just to make sure it's fully perfect. And then we're sending this one to Justin Roiland. And then we're sending a few others to Warner Brothers and some other partners. And we can't release it until we get the final approval from them. Justin's made it incredibly clear to us that he won't put his name on it unless it's perfect. And we agree, we want the same thing. So we're waiting for him to say it's perfect. Hopefully he will approve this and we can, tell our manufacturer go. As I mentioned, this is all tooled plastic. So the tools are all approved and ready to go. The PCBs are all finalized. The firmware is fully functional. Everything's ready to go. And so once we get the go ahead, it's pull the trigger and get them rolling. So I hope that answers some questions. We really are grateful for the patience of our pre-order customers. We hope that the fact that we're delivering a much higher quality product than we originally estimated makes the wait worth it for you. We're incredibly dedicated to get this thing out. And I'm mostly dedicated because I love this guy and I keep him on my desk and he talks to me, which is nice because, everyone needs someone to talk to.
That's great, Brian. Yeah, and as you said already, we are really at the end of the quality testing and testing quality assurance phase. We have those retooled components. That's what the robot you have in your hands there is from. It's from that run from the manufacturer. So we've been able to test the stronger motor and the fit of those new components. And again, we'll be sharing the prototypes with our partners soon. And as soon as we have those approvals, we should be able to move into production and deliver the pre-ordered Butter robots.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I forgot to mention the feature that you had on the screen. I'm just so excited to have this guy. One of the new things we've done is each motor has its own individual current monitor. So one of the things we noticed is the power draw on this robot is significantly higher than the other ones. We've upgraded to like lithium ion batteries. These are 14500s. They're incredibly powerful, much more powerful than our other robots, just scale, obviously. But one thing is the motors also can draw a ton more current. So we have individual monitoring so that we can extend the lifespan of the product, make sure that the battery life doesn't get drained unnecessarily. Also make sure that, he's responsible with the way he's moving and engaging. If you hold his arms and try and twist them, he'll stop. He won't try and burn through it. He has an enormous head. He can build some really strong momentum. We can make sure to stop that, keep track of where everything is. And then the other things we've mentioned before, the arms are, sturdier than they were before. We've tested passing the butter and butter tray, and he's able to really strongly grab it and move it freely. I think we weighed it down with like a full metal water bottle and he was moving it around. So he's a very robust robot now. And I'm glad that Justin pushed us to, go further and see what we really can do with this. So it's not, it's not something you're going to get and play with for a little bit. It's something that hopefully you'll have for, years and years and years and have continual joy with. And I like that vision more.
Yeah, we definitely are looking at this product as something that's going to bring a unique replayability to our customers. All right, Brian, hang around and we're going to have you come back for our live Q&A segment here in just a moment. Going to jump over now. Just a moment ago, we asked if any attendees might know the meaning behind the name Kavu, and we have had a couple attendees correctly answer that is ceiling and visibility unlimited. And so a member of our team will be following up and will be giving the winner a choice of their favorite Cosmo or Vector t-shirt from the Digital Dream Labs online store. But Jacob, let's talk a little bit about Kavu, and want to see, I don't know if anyone from Draganfly were able to join us for the presentation today, but Draganfly, we announced several months ago, will be partnering with us to essentially help take consumer robotics to new heights. We'll be producing a robot very similar to Cosmo or Vector that is semi-autonomous and uses voice recognition, object recognition, but can fly around your home and not really have some of the limitations that our current products have with stairs and other desktop edges and things of the like. So we're really excited to be working with Draganfly and their team of experts. They are one of the leading UAV developers and manufacturers in the world right now. And also, I don't know that Kavu will be racing anytime soon, but they are sponsors of the Drone Racing League as well. And so we're very excited about the expertise and that they're bringing to help these robots fly. But we're really excited about also the combination of the personality and AI of Digital Dream Labs robots in this new form factor that'll really allow our customers to experience a personal relationship with their robot in a new way. And with that, I think we're going to go ahead and jump over to the live question and answer segment of today's webinar. Again, we appreciate all the attendees for coming today and encourage you to share any questions you might have using the Q&A feature of the Zoom webinar. So we're going to get started and have a question for Brian about InfiniDrive. Mm-hmm. And the question came in from an attendee, and they said, are there going to be new cars for InfiniDrive?
So absolutely, but we are starting making sure that all the current cars are backwards compatible and support it. We want to make sure that we honor the enormous fan base and provide the bulk of the content for the existing line. But we are very excited about new cars. We're brainstorming ideas for them and their functionality all the time. So yes, new cars, but we're going to start by knocking the current cars out of the park.
Great. And then I think we'll also pivot and Brian, the existing cars will also be supported with the new app. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, it's actually the core of the experience that we're developing now is making sure that we support the existing cars. Again, we want to make sure that, a lot of these cars have really cool designs and aesthetics and fantasies about them that haven't been fully realized just because there's not the visuals to go with it, right? Your thermo isn't shooting flames yet, and I want my thermo to shoot flames. So I'm doing that first, and then I'll start brainstorming the new stuff.
That's great. And I'm really excited for both the new app to release and for the new cars to begin releasing, as we work with dynamic manufacturing. Jacob,
real quick before we move off of it, I would love to hear from people, here on Facebook, etc., what kinds of new cars they're interested in. All of the cars currently have some kind of element or, sound, acid, fire, etc., that they're associated with. I'd love to hear from people like what kind of thing that is not represented that they'd love to see, so that we can make sure that we're brainstorming what you want to play with.
Great. And I'll tell you what, I want to welcome Cameron Schell, CEO of Draganfly Incorporated. Cameron, thank you for taking the time to join us. I know we've kind of stepped into the Q&A phase, but hey, let's take a step back. I want to make sure that all the attendees have a chance to learn a little bit more about your company and what Draganfly are going to be doing with this project to bring Kavu into homes around the world?
Well, first of all, thanks so very much for allowing us to work with you and allowing me to join this today. I'm really sorry. I've been on the thing the whole time as not as a panelist. You'd think I was not a technologist. I can't figure out something that simple. So thanks for being so gracious and letting me join in. Draganfly is the oldest commercial manufacturer of drones in the world. We've been doing this since 1999. And we have a couple of specialties. One of them is public service and safety. And so Draganfly actually was the developer of the first drone that was ever credited with saving a human life. And that drone today sits on permanent display in the Smithsonian. One of the other areas that we are deeply involved with and really honored to be involved with is the education space, which, in the drone world is often overlooked, but is probably a bigger market than most people understand. And I think something that differentiates us, and one of the things that we're just so honored to get to work with you guys, is the AI base that we have. And so, the work that we bring to the table and the work that you folks are allowing us to do on your incredible product and your lineup and your platform is being able to bring that interoperability. These aren't simple, fly-by-wire drones. They're interactive, they're coding, they've got all kinds of user experiences, all types of expectations. So the complexity behind them, on a software level is really something that's probably not appreciated. Well, maybe by the user base that you have, but by general people who look at the drone market. The complexity in the education space is just as complex as what it is in, the public service safety space that we also participate in. So the opportunity to build out this drone with you in this type of environment, interacting with other codable robots, and it's indoor, and there's different age groups using it. It's really quite amazing. I think it's going to be game changing. Your guys' vision for what you're doing, and I think what it brings to the whole lineup, and what it will drive in terms of education and opportunity for the users. It's for sure, and we do some pretty crazy stuff. For sure, it is the topic that most people want to work on, or the project that most people want to work on internally for us. So,
and I know. So we don't have any prototypes to share today, but having spoken with your colleague Paul Mullen, VP of Vital Intelligence, we will have prototypes to share during the next webinar. So I will tease that and ask attendees to come back and join us next time around, and we will look a little bit more behind the curtain at Kavu. Cameron, again, just want to thank you for taking a moment to join us again today. And we're going to jump in, and Robbie, if you could, let's try to find some questions from attendees. I'm going to go ahead and ask a question for Jacob. Jacob, in the last webinar, we mentioned the idea of a DAO or an NFT, and just want to talk about some of the work that the team are doing there to establish a voting permissions mechanism for the pre-order customers as it relates to that tooling.
Yeah, and this is a concept I think we've been playing with for a while, and there's a lot of ways to think about this business model. I realize it's flavor of the month. It's maybe a buzzword, or maybe it's not something we should be taking on because we have so many other things we need to focus and work on. But at the same time, there is this opportunity I see to not only reward our current customers, but then to build a foundation of just robotics in general that involves coins, that involves earning credits. And we really have the structure to do it. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of contributors to an active code base who could be earning vector coins, for example. And then we have the tooling in the backing of the thing that actually makes the asset. We have an actual asset that produces the product that people are writing coins for. So there is an entire ecosystem that we have that most companies that are in the coin business or in NFT business just simply don't have, because we have the followers, we have people actively contributing to a code base where they can be rewarded with currency that's actually valuable that could be used for purchases. So I think we have this entire comprehensive package. So when I was investigating stuff, I thought, okay, how could we reward our current pre-order people for their patience and also build out the value of the company as well, and kind of get that cutting edge that we need in order to move forward, but also integrate with Meta and all these other things that are evolving around us. Because we've taken Vector, I think one thing people can appreciate now is that we've taken all these products and we've put them in, we can put them into the metaverse. We can do AR, we can do VR around it. So backed up with the tooling and the value that represents, basically acting as let's say a backstop, and then people contributing actively to a code base that then can be used for other robots, for example, can then be picked up and moved to other types of operating systems, etc. And then on top of that, we could, we have the ability to do trading cards, NFTs, and I think that's something we should do in a small form initially to test the waters to see what it's like. But we could have Cosmo NFT, we could have a Vector NFT, because at the end of the day, what we're doing as well with our manufacturer is, again, blockchain is just a fancy word of just, making sure that logistics are done correctly, right? Essentially. So we are, from beginning to end, can track all the components, all the values, backed with the tooling the whole way through. So we have this beautiful marriage of NFTs, blockchain, Vector coins, and then the DAO, which has up till now has not really been properly executed. We have this entire ecosystem that we can use now that is unlike anything else. So more to come on that. I think the idea is that the pre-order people are going to get a certificate to show like, hey, you have ownership. And you can give directionality to our decisions. I mean, essentially, that's what happens anyway right now with our fan pages. We read and we listen, and we do as much as we possibly can to build a product that people want, and that they can act as gating contributors. And I really think that's the future of a lot of corporations now, is going to have these large sections of customers who essentially will help give direction. And I think it's good for the customers, but it's also good for the company, because you're building something that somebody actually wants. And so there's this entire reward system I think we can implement now, based on the idea that we have this incredible community that's unlike any other, all coming together and helping drive the company forward from a number of perspectives. So that's kind of it. That's what I was thinking of. I think as we go down this road more and more, it's becoming closer and closer to reality. And I think we can, the pre-order people can start expecting to get these certificates, and this idea, maybe it's not necessarily a birth certificate, but it's, something related to Vector coming into existence and your particular Vector, and this idea that it's always going to be tracked, and you're going to know that where it is. And when it comes to the repair center, you're getting the same one back. And there are all kinds of fascinating things we can do with blockchain in regards to robotics. And yeah, it's a perfect opportunity. So we're exploring that, and I'm happy that our pre-order customers and moving forward, maybe 1 out of 1,000 or 1 out of 10,000 customers will get one of these certificates. Maybe it'll be kind of like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, a golden ticket. But then it's kind of that you have this class of customers who are heavily involved in Digital Dream Labs and decision making when it comes to design challenges and other things like that when it comes to vectors. So I think it's pretty cool. I think the response has been positive, and we will just continue to develop that and grow that.
Great, thank you. And Robbie, we had a question come in from an attendee, and I think we had talked about robots moving over to the current software version for Vector. And a few attendees asked, well, will I be able to keep my robot on version 1.6? And I want to ask you, Robbie, what would it take for somebody to keep their robot on 1.6? Is that something where they might need to use Escape Pod in order to keep the version that their robot is running static?
So the escape pod would be able to run a vector starting in version 1.7. That would be the minimum version that would be required for escape pod. With the 1.6, where it's difficult to build that software back out as it was in 2018, 2019, right? So since then we've made a lot of back-end changes, and it gets a little bit difficult to rebuild that and deploy it as an escape pod change. But that being said, we're moving forward. We're discontinuing the 1.6 rollback program in favor of addressing community feedback from 1.7 and above versions. So we've received some points of feedback regarding a little bit of personality change with Vector starting in 1.7, and then additionally there were a couple of small software bugs that had some issues with a very small amount of vectors. From my own estimations, it's not any more than 1% to 2% of units that encounter these issues. But we still want to understand the root cause behind these, take that feedback, and move forward with the newer software by addressing some of those software issues, and then additionally understanding either hardware changes or hardware differences that caused those to be a concern in the first place. But moving forward, every robot will be moving over to 1.8.1 to 2.0, and then moving forward. The difference there, that people would be able to absolutely choose what version they want to stay on Escape Pod, with the understanding that the minimum version will be 1.7.
Thanks, Robbie. And Sarah, because we have a couple questions for Cosmo, and a question from an attendee about Cosmo 2.0 and whether the newest version of Cosmo would run on the same app, or if there would be a new app for Cosmo 2.0.
So for Cosmo 2.0, there are going to be some changes behind the software that he runs. And that's primarily because of some hardware changes that were made during the development process. So we'll be likely forming a new application for Cosmo 2.0 that will be, we'll have some more details around that a little bit later, closer to Cosmo's shipping date. But effectively, it's very likely going to be a new application.
Okay, great. I want to encourage attendees, we'll take a few more questions, but please continue to get your questions in. If we're not able to get to your question today, we are available on social media, and you can always contact our customer experience team at support@digitaldreamlabs.com. We did have an attendee question today regarding Kavu and whether or not Kavu would be autonomous or semi-autonomous like Cosmo and Vector. And I think, yes, that is the plan, that this will be an autonomous robot pet that can run around your home and do more than just drive or fly by wire. So I think we have high expectations for this in all of our robots, and that is the plan, that Kavu will be autonomous. And just going through a couple more questions here. I apologize because I'm trying to read through all of these questions and see what we have or have not answered at this point. Again, appreciate everyone's time. Have a question about the overdrive trucks and whether or not we'll be supporting those in the new InfiniDrive game. And Brian, are there plans to resurrect or create new InfiniDrive trucks for the new AR XR experience?
So we definitely want to make sure we support the existing trucks. Essentially, if you own Overdrive product, we want it to work. As far as just a game design perspective, I think it's an interesting challenge because they have this big power fantasy about being able to blast things off the track and et cetera. And translating that to AR is an interesting challenge that we're actually really excited to take on. As far as new trucks beyond them goes, I'm not quite sure, because I think we might be more interested in putting it in a new direction as opposed to exploring something that is, already exists. I'd rather you have like two things you can choose from as opposed to more of one choice. But we definitely want to make sure, essentially, if you own Overdrive product, it will be continued to be supported with the new app.
Great, Brent. And yeah, I want to, let's stick with that. Do we plan to, I think also, will the new app support some of the like Power Zone feature from the Fast and Furious edition of Overdrive?
So we're going to be doing some unique things that are similar. Because of the AR, you can have more visualization. So, boost sections, traps, etc. As far as specifically supporting Fast and Furious, we no longer have that license, so we have to, distance ourselves technically from it, but we want to make sure that the product still works, does what you want it to do. So that's kind of an interesting dance we'll be playing. If you saw what we did with the Overdrive 2.6 app, how we kind of addressed it there, and we'll probably do something similar with the new InfiniDrive app.
Great, thanks, Brian. And Stephen asked, so the Cosmo and Vector, obviously the designs are based on animals or pets that you might find in your home. And he asked, what type of animal is Kavu based off of? And I know, Jacob, we've talked about this in the past internally, but what references are the team using in designing Kavu?
So yeah, I would say this concept of a hummingbird, and I think that's kind of what we're thinking just in general with all of these robots. You have that uncanny valley, right, where we just want to steer clear of that entirely. These products, at least from my perspective, will, I hate to say never, but will never be humanoid. I think they'll always resemble something that, at least from an anthropological standpoint, we've evolved with or grown up with through generations. You have pets, you have a dog, cats, we have all types of other animals that we've interacted with through generations. So this in particular, Kavu will kind of, I think, buzz around like a hummingbird. We kind of think of Vector, very cat-like behavior, but also the size of a hamster, something that's handheld. Idea that Bingo would essentially be like kind of like a German Shepherd guarding your house. So all of that sort of anthropology there coming in and really helping our decision making with design and the design features of the entire Cosmo and Friends and Cosmo look and feel of the family.
Good, thanks, Jacob. And I think we're going to take one last question, and I'll throw this over to Jacob, both you and Robbie. So the new cubes that are being manufactured for Cosmo and Vector are different than at least the cubes that we're currently manufacturing as replacements for Cosmo 1.0. And the question from the attendee was regarding the use of the incorrect battery type and whether that could damage the new cubes, as that's something that we often see as a problem with current generation cubes. Robbie, you mentioned, hey, the dog might sometimes eat Cosmos cubes, but more often than not, it's the wrong battery that's fried a cube. Is that something that we've been able to resolve with the new cubes and new communication technology that we're using?
That's a great question, Matt. So the new cubes are, that's a question that we had in mind when we were working on development of the cubes. I don't have confirmation from our roboticist that that was something that we were able to fit in as a feature. That being said, what I will do is I will go ahead and I will follow up with our lead roboticist I will check on the designs for this and verify that answer. And then maybe we can put something, you know what, I'll probably put that out into the support article for powering the cubes for Cosmo. So I apologize that I don't have that answer yet, but I'd be glad to elaborate on that unless, Jacob, you have that available.
Yeah, so my understanding is that the cubes we made for the ones that just came in, right, from our Taiwanese manufacturer, that are unfortunately, I wanted them to be forward compatible, but at the end of the day, they are just for the older Cosmos. We are looking at old vector cubes working as well with the old ones, again, replacement. The new cubes moving forward, I believe we have solved that issue where you can only insert one type of battery and avoid it getting fried. But I want to double check that. I think we have solved that problem, but I think you're right, Robbie. Let's double check that before we commit to saying that on the record officially.
Okay,
So that is all to
what,
say, Matt. Oh, I'm sorry. That is all to say that I guess we'll need our roboticist out here on the webinar next time. Maybe.
No, that's fine. And so Robbie, I would let's post that update to the state of robotics, state of manufacturing articles. And I want to encourage anybody that has a pre-order. Robbie and his team are doing a great job trying to update these articles on a weekly basis. And so if you have any questions, those are a great resource to start with. But again, we have a number of questions left, and I believe we've tried to answer as many as we can during today's presentation. But as always, on behalf of Robbie, Brian, Jacob, myself, and everyone at Digital Dream Labs, we appreciate all the attendees' time and all of our partners from 24 Watts, Dynamic Manufacturing, and Draganfly, everyone for contributing to today. Really, this is something that makes, I think, this community special, and we look forward to talking with you again soon. Thanks, everyone, for joining us, and that's all for today's presentation. Again, we'll be following up with a short 5-question survey. If you could just help us understand how we can make your webinar experience or your robot experience better. Thanks again, and have a great day.